Okay, let's continue. So going back, how will we simplify x over 2 times 1 over x? We can simplify this by dividing x and x in the numerator and x in the denominator. Okay. So therefore, we will end up here with 1 over 2. Okay, that's it. Similarly, in our trigonometric function, since we are multiplying them, we can just simply cancel out like terms or similar functions in the numerator and denominator, and they will just be equal to 1 because x divided by x is just equal to 1. Okay, so therefore, can we cancel out sine x and sine x here? Sine x in the numerator and sine x in the denominator. Yes, correct. Therefore, oops, it's not cross multiply. We cannot cross multiply this. Kasi remember, where's my, here. We do not do cross multiplying here, ha? We're just multiplying. Nagmo-multiply lang tayo, 1 over x. And that is n to n, d to d, o long cut. 1 times x over 2 times x, that's 2x. And then cancel x, that's just equal to 1. So that's 1/2. Okay, shortcut yon. So therefore, what's the answer here? When you cancel out sine x and sine x, the final answer will be what's the answer? Okay, so the answer is 1 over cosine x. Correct. However, 1 over cosine x still looks complicated. It still looks complicated kasi naka-fraction form pa siya. Therefore, let's look back to our reciprocal identities. Look back at the reciprocal identities. Which of those functions is similar to 1 over cosine x? Type your answer in the chat box, please. Okay, your answer, your classmates are now typing the answers. That's correct. 1 over cosine x is just the same with secant x. That's it. And this is the real answer because this is the single function of that trigonometric expression. That's our goal. Let's help these trigonometric expressions lighten the baggage, lighten the burdens that they have for them to feel lighter and be expressed as single functions. Okay? Show a reaction based on how you understood that process. Let me see. Kaya pa? Okay. Many are, good thing naman there are lots of you who are still celebrating with the learning process. Just that some are getting challenged about the process. Don't worry. Identities will really look like confusing at first because if we do not have the practice of it, really, magiging mahirap siya. Okay? And that's the reason why we are discussing it. Isang example pa lang naman, and you will get better as you see different examples. Ready? Let's have another one. Okay. Let's try this. Oh, sige, ito naman. Oh, simple muna before this patong-patong. Ready? Siyempre, isa munang simple. And this time, I want you to work on your own. Ready? Let's try this. Express as express as single function. Ready? So we have 1 over cosecant x times 1 over cosine x. Go. Express this as a single function. Type your answer in the chat box. Go. Once you already got that single function, type it in the chat box. Okay, kaya mo yan. Lahat tayo may sarili-sariling dalang baggage. Pero remember, even if we have our own problems, even if we have our own baggages, we can still be God's instruments to help other people. Remember that. Okay? Go. At least meron tayong value na natututunan dito sa process na to. We have our own difficulties in life, pero that doesn't mean that we cannot help anymore. We can still become God's instruments to transform others. Remember that. Okay? Go na. Hanap-hanap. Look at the identities, list of identities, and how can you simplify this and turn it into a single function. I'll wait for your answers in the chat box. Okay, so let's change this. Look at our reciprocal identities. 1 over cosecant x is just the same with sine x. Ayan. Times 1 over cosine x. There you go. Now, as you have noticed, this can already be multiplied in fraction form, n to n, d to d. So therefore, we will end up with sine x over cosine x. Now, looking at our quotient identity, sine x over cosine x is just the same with tangent x. That's the fastest way so far to change that expression to a single function. Okay? Show me a reaction if you understood that process. Let me see. Okay, good. Game. Habang tumatagal, nasasanay lang kayo niyan kasi mas dumarami yung examples na nakikita nyo. Let's have another one. Ready? This one. Game. Again, express as a single function. Huh? Huwag kayong matakot mag-explore, ha? Let's try this. Express as a single function. Game. So let's try this. We have sine x, cosecant x, tangent x, cotangent x. Go. This may look long, but actually this is exciting. Sige nga, try to explore. Open your, get your pen and pen and paper and try it in your paper and solve it. Express it as a single function. Go. Type your answer in the chat box when you're done. The solution is in the module, but I suggest not to look in your module. Kasi I want you to experience the process of exploring the different identities. Game. Tingnan nyo lang kung alin yung magkaka-connect. Yun yung clue. Kasi kung titingnan nyo to, sine at saka cosecant, uy, related. Tapos si tangent tsaka si cotangent, uy, related. Go. Type your answer in the chat box when you're done. Linnea is correct. Jazel is correct. Very good. Let's wait for the rest. Christian is correct. Very good. Riza is correct. Let's wait for the rest. One more, and we're good to go. One more from our class, and we're good to go. Okay, Chance also got it correctly. But to those who are still solving, please continue. Let's now do this process. Game. So, looking at our reciprocal identities, I noticed that sign X can be rewritten as 1 over, hindi siya kitable. This can be rewritten as 1 over cosecant X. Hindi siya masyadong basable. Okay lang. Let's change this to, ito na lang. So, sin X can be rewritten as 1 over cosecant X times, of course, cosecant X kasi meron na cosecant sa denominator. I will not change it anymore. I'll just cancel it. So, we have cosecant X here. So, I will just divide it by 1. So, over 1. Okay? And then times. Let me see this. Tangent can be rewritten as 1 over cotangent X. And of course, that's in the denominator, and the other cotangent X is in the numerator. So I will not change it anymore. Cotangent X. I'll just put over 1 there. Okay? And so having seen that, I can just simply cancel out cosecant in the numerator and cosecant in the denominator. Same thing with cotangent in the numerator and in the denominator. So I'm left with, this will just be all 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, that's equal to 1 over 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, that's 1. That is equal to 1. And that's the final answer. Okay. Oops, sir, is that the only solution? No, of course not. Others did not change sign. I'd rather use sin X and then change cosecant X to 1 over sin X times tangent. Ayaw ko siyang palitan. Gusto ko tangent X times si cotangent, I can change it to 1 over tangent X. So over 1 over 1, that's equal to 1. Can you follow? So kahit alin pang gawin nyo dyan, alin yung gusto nyong i-cancel, as long as you are following the correct identities, the answer will just be the same. Show me a reaction based on how you understood that. Let me see. Okay. Thank you so much. If you have questions, feel free to type it in the chat box, so that we can entertain clarifications, queries, or misinterpretation of the process. Okay? That's it. Okay, level up. Let's use naman the Pythagorean identities. As you have noticed in our previous examples, we did not use the Pythagorean simply because there were no squareds among your trigonometric functions. Now, what if we have squared in the given? So might as well use the trigonometric functions. Let's have this. Again, express as single functions. Game. Let's have this. So we have sine squared theta plus sine squared theta tangent squared theta. Okay, go. Balik tayo dito sa ating mga list of functions. Okay, this is a clue, this is a hint, this is a helpful tip. This is a helpful tip. Once you saw squared among your given, you focus on the Pythagorean identities. Okay? Once you saw squared, of course, you must focus with the Pythagorean identities kasi posibleng doon umuwi yan. Okay? Now, looking at the three different Pythagorean identities in your worksheet, in your SLM, which of this do you think can we apply given our trigonometric expression? Alin dyan ang pwede nating gamitin? The first, the second, or the third? Di na ako pwedeng mag-paste ng... Okay, wait lang. Which of this? Let me add this image para masulatan natin. Here. Ayun. Sige nga. Which of this can we use as our pattern, as our guiding light in doing this process? Is it the number 1, the number 2, or the number 3 identity, Pythagorean identity? Type your answer in the chat box. Saan mas malapit yung given natin? Sa 1, sa 2, or sa 3? Sa 1, sa 2, or sa 3? Type it in the chat box. Princess is correct. What about the rest? Sa 2 daw. Okay, hindi naman masama 'yon. Sige. Sa 3 daw. Okay. What about the rest? Okay, sa 1. Okay. Sige. 1 and 2 po. Sige. Tingnan natin kung saan siya mas lalapit. Okay? Pero if we will look at it, we have here, look at this. Looking at the process, we already have here the sine squared theta, which can already be seen here, sine squared theta. And then we have plus there. And of course, we also have plus there in that identity. So therefore, let's see if this remaining part, this one, can be turned into a cosine squared theta. Tingnan natin. Okay? Let's do this game. So, let's focus more on this part here. So, take a look at this. Tingnan muna natin to. So, we have here sine squared theta. Let me retain it. Sine squared theta times tangent. Tangent. Can I rewrite tangent? Si tangent, saan siya magpapasok? Si tangent ay pwede siyang gawing quotient identity. Pwede natin siyang gawan ng quotient identity. Let's just try. This is just one of the ways kasi let's just try. We just have to try. This can be changed to change natin tong tangent to sine squared theta over cosine squared theta. Looking at this, I believe hindi tayo makakapag-cancel kasi magiging to the fourth power lang yung ating sine. Can you follow? Can you see it? Ang goal natin maging cosine siya. No. We cannot use this. So therefore, dahil hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yon, what else do you think should be done? Hindi siya pwede. Hindi siya successful. Okay. What do you think will we do next? Meron ba tayong iba pang pwedeng gawin? Kasi we tried making it, kaya lang hindi siya kakayanin kasi magiging to the fourth power yung sign. So no pwede. It's a no pwede. What will we do next? Anyone? Please suggest. This time, we can also apply the different processes in math. Okay, meron tayong chat in the chat box. Pythagorean po yung 2 po or quotient. Pythagorean po yung sine squared. Ay yung sine 2. Sige. Tingnan natin. Since ito lang naman ang pwede nating i-simplify if ever. Kaya lang, looking at what we did a while ago, looking at what we did here, this will end up with sine raised to 4 theta over cosine squared theta. So, lalong humirap yung sitwasyon. We cannot use that. Therefore, let's analyze it further. Let's analyze it further at tingnan natin ano ba ang magandang gawin. Okay. Yan. So, therefore, pero if you will look back to our processes, halimbawa, meron tayo ditong x plus 2x. Can we do factoring here? Let's factor. If a factor natin yung common factor nila. And in this case, this is your first term. And this is your second term. And both terms have x. So therefore, we can factor out x and we will be left out with 1 plus 2. With that, we can already resolve the problem with this. Kasi this will become, we can already simplify the process. Similarly, in this expression, pwede natin, kasi tinry na natin kaninang subukan na mag-cancel dun sa second part, hindi pwede. Pero as you have seen, this is the first term. This is the second term. So therefore, we can see that sine is common between the two. Sine is common between the two terms. Yan, these are common. So therefore, we can factor out sine squared theta, and then times, ngayon, let's divide each term with sine squared theta. Sine squared theta divided by sine squared theta kasi fina-factor out natin. What's left inside the parenthesis? It's 1. Very good. 1 plus, dito sa second term, here, sine squared theta, tangent squared theta divided by sine squared theta. What's left? What's left? It's tangent squared theta. Okay, that's correct. So we will have here, where's my pen? There. Tangent squared theta. Ayan. So therefore, from here, we can already do something. Gets po ba yun, by the way? Is the factoring clear to you? Patingin nga ng reaction. Was that clear? Clear po ba kung paano nating factor out si sine from our expression? Show a reaction, please. Okay, that's good. Now, looking at this, we can already find something from our Pythagorean identities. And what is that? To what identity is tangent squared theta, 1 plus tangent squared theta, the same? Type your answer in the chat box. Saan siya or alin yung kapareho niyang value? In the second one. That's correct. So therefore, 1 plus tangent squared theta is what? 1 plus tangent squared theta is equal to what? Tingnan nyo nga. Saan ba to makikita? Okay, thank you. That's correct. Look at this. 1 plus tangent squared theta is the same as this. Tangent squared theta plus 1. Sir, ba't nauna po si 1 plus tangent? Yung sa kabila po, huli po si plus 1. They are just the same because addition is commutative. So therefore, this 1 plus tangent squared theta can be rewritten as secant squared theta. And from here, let's multiply it with sine squared theta. Okay? O, ngayon, lumilinaw na. Oh, what else do you think shall we do here? What else should we do? Tapos na ba? Not yet. So, look at this. Second squared theta, saan po galing yung second squared? Dito. Here. Ayun. So, looking at this is just the same as this. Therefore, we can change 1 plus tangent squared theta or tangent squared theta plus 1 with the second theta. Doon siya galing. Okay? Lumiliwanag po ba? Can you follow? Okay. Game. Now that you have seen that the identities, let's now simplify this further. Second naman, by the way, baka natugulat kayo, sir, wala na pong ibang squared theta. Wala na pong ibang second squared. Ano po ang magandang gawin? Remember, second, halimbawa, tangent, di ba this is equal to sine tangent x is equal to sine x over cosine x. If ever, kailangan, if worst comes to worst and it is squared, tangent squared theta, this can also be rewritten as sine squared theta, x over cosine squared x. Ibig sabihin, it's okay to square the different identities. Okay? Now, looking at this, kasi secant, sine at saka secant, baka merong medyo relasyon yung dalawang yan. Meron silang connection sa bawat isa. They have connection. And how is that? Secant, okay. So merong sinasuggest yung classmate natin. Pythagorean po ng sine squared theta para makakuha ng cosine squared theta po. Tapos reciprocal po ng secant squared theta. Okay. So siguro, let's take a look at that. Kasi when we do this Pythagorean theorem, identities, laging kasama yung plus 1. So hindi pwedeng palitan na lang basta-basta yon. Okay? So, pero I can take the other suggestion. Yung reciprocal po ng secant squared theta. What's the reciprocal of secant squared theta? What's the reciprocal of secant squared theta? The reciprocal of secant squared theta is 1 over cosine squared theta. Very good. So that's 1 over cosine squared theta. And I may just copy sine squared theta here over 1. So let's multiply n to n, d to d. This will become sine squared theta over cosine squared theta. Ayan, lumalapit na tayo sa final answer. What function or what identity has or is equal to sine over cosine? Saan ito equal? Sa tangent theta. Very good. But since it is squared, we must correct the quotient identities. Therefore, since it is squared, we must express the identity in terms of squared kasi naka-squared yung given natin. So therefore, we will have here tangent squared theta. And that is the single function of our given. Got it? Kindly show a reaction. Oh, it's a magic. Yes, magic talaga siya kasi you just have to play with your identities. Paglalaroan mo lang sila para mag-arrive ka at a single function. Okay? Now, halimbawa, hindi kayo maging successful sa process, tuloy lang ng tuloy hanggang sa makuha nyo yung correct one. Okay? That's it. Sige, let it sink in for a while. This will end na. And then after, when it ends, minom ko pa, have a 5-minute break. Please come back at 2:44. Okay? 5-minute break before we continue. Have a 5-minute break before we continue. I will end this now. Sandali na lang to. Break muna kayo, 5 minutes.